Good morning. Welcome to CSLDallas Science of Mind class. I'm Dr. Petra, and we are just about finished with our chapter on spiritual mind treatments, mental and spiritual treatment. So we're starting this little section. We've been talking about demonstration. What does it mean to have a demonstration from our spiritual work? Right? From our spiritual mind treatment, or really, quite frankly, any other spiritual work, whether it's an affirmation or visualizations or any other way in which we are intentionally manifesting, we expect to have a demonstration. It's not just to feel better. It should be an identifiable demonstration that we can specifically point to, whether that is a Thanksgiving dinner that was actually peaceful with the family because that was our treatment, whether it is an x-ray that looks completely different than the x-ray that gave us a diagnosis. We expect to be able to see and point to an actual outpicturing in our experience, in our physicality, and in the world in which we live. So this last section is let us not fool ourselves. Once again, I'm going to say, sometimes when we are being a little wishy-washy about our treatments, this is a great section to read. We should not fool ourselves. We continue to... let's see. So let's start in the second paragraph of let us not fool ourselves. The kind of demonstration we believe in is the kind that can be checked by a physician, if one so desires, right? Or a bank account, or a promotion, actually getting an applause for the presentation and good feedback that you actually did it well, whatever it is. And so it has to be something that is identifiable, although it doesn't have to be a thing. Do you see what I'm saying? Right? Identifiable is an identifiable experience. Not, I feel peaceful going into the Thanksgiving dinner, but the Thanksgiving dinner and my experience of it is actually peaceful. I can look back at the Thanksgiving dinner and say, either the table was much more peaceful than it had been in the past, or I was much more peaceful regardless of what happened. I can identify that I was, in fact, more peaceful.
So qualitative and quantitative.
Qualitative and quantitative. Because sometimes our treatments is about a quality and not about a specific thing we can actually measure or point to. Okay. So then he gives an example. If you're working with your blood pressure, go every week and have it tested and expect it to be reduced. And so I love this. I have a dear friend. I've known him for, forever, 40, 45 years. Terry McBride. He wrote a book called The Hell You Can. The Hell You Can't. I can't remember now. And so he healed himself from catastrophic illness and surgeries where he was told he was never gonna walk again, and he was catastrophic illness, and he did it one number at a time. He did it one number at a time. The doctor would say, well, we can't take your colonoscopy bag out because your numbers are wrong. And he would say, what number do I need? And so in that particular, he tells the story, for 2 weeks, he worked on achieving that number, and he achieved it. And then they said, well, it's going to be a few days before we can do the surgery. And so he kind of lost it again, right? And so the second time he achieved it, he was like, you must do the surgery today. And each thing, each number. So just recently, there was, he had a blockage, like an 85% blockage in an artery, and we had to do surgery right away, la, 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 la. And he went home and he said, no, I'm going to do my work. I'll come back in 3 weeks. What number do I have to have? And they said 49. And 3 weeks later, he went and he got tested, 49. That's how that's supposed to work. Do you see? And so, and because he has that history, it's very believable to him. Sometimes we have to do it incrementally. Okay, maybe I can't believe that my blood pressure is going to go from 200 to 120, but maybe I can really work to have it from 200 to 180, from 180 to 160, from 160 to 140, right? And each time as we demonstrate that and it's measurable and we can see it, then we build, see, we're proving to ourselves that it works. We're building our conviction. I don't necessarily like the word belief. We're building our conviction that it does in fact work. So we should not be afraid to verify that our demonstrations have happened or are happening, and to see the incremental change is as good as a miraculous shift, right? It's always about the demonstration. To claim so somebody with a high blood pressure, to claim that he's perfectly normal while the blood pressure remains high would be an affront to the intelligence of a sane individual, right? Remember that the work we're doing in our spiritual mind treatment is in consciousness. It is in consciousness that we know the blood pressure is perfect, and now we expect to begin to see it. We're not fooling ourselves. We're not lying to ourselves, and we're not afraid to look. This is not denial like, well, if I don't look, it'll be better. No. We don't do that. So I love this. While it is possible that we might have to work on a case for some time, right? Do you see? I mean, it's right. Do not be worried about it. I didn't have an instant demonstration. Oh, I didn't do it right. Spirit doesn't want me to have it. Surely there's a lesson I should learn. Yada, 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 right? Perhaps it just means that it requires some work. Our conviction and our ability to believe in the outcome just requires work. But there should be some sign of improvement from the first treatment. And that sign of improvement might be that slightly elevated conviction that this is going to work. And then we begin to see the outcome. Then we have a little more elevated conviction. Then we see another outcome, right? We're building ourselves into that demonstration. Our theory rests entirely upon the supposition that it is impossible to have a true subjective concept without there being a positive and absolute and equal objective fact. The two will exactly balance. So this is what is called the law of correspondence, which is a way of explaining the law of cause and effect, right? The cause and the effect must exactly correspond with each other. And so I love this idea. This is like a reflection which nothing can stop. Right? So unlike vampires who apparently can stand in front of a mirror and disappear, you will stand in front of a mirror and have an actual reflection, the exact reflection of what's in front of the mirror. And what we like to do is we stand in front of the mirror of our lives, and then we get our comb out, and then we try to comb the hair of the image. I'm going to fix that, and I'm going to make that look better, and right? And that's not how it works. So I love this. I'm getting ahead of myself. This is a really beautiful paragraph, so let's really work with this for a minute. Like a reflection which nothing can stop, the practitioner does not try to create the reflection, he tries to embody the image. To embody. So to become that person who is experiencing the outcome of the treatment. To become it on the inside. So one of the little tricks that I've learned over the years is rather than trying to get to a quality or an experience and always feeling like my treatment is taking me towards it, which is not how it works, right? Embodiment is we already have it in consciousness. And so one of the tricks that I've learned to say, and I'm working with this, especially between treatments, is I am a person who has this. I am a person who is this. And it reminds me that the job is the embodiment of it.
Reveal it.
And be it.
Reveal it.
Reveal it and be it. And it's all about accepting it internally. And so in chronic pain, right, what we tend to say is, I'm a person who has chronic pain. But what if I'm a person who has ease in my body? I'm a person who has ease in my body. Do you see, I'm not outlining what's going to happen. I'm not outlining how it's going to happen. I am owning this spiritual truth. And remember, our spiritual work is, well, if it's true about spirit and we're a part of that, then it must be true about us. Wholeness is what the truth about spirit, we're a part of it. Therefore, wholeness is the truth of my body. Wholeness is the truth of my experience. And so I am a person who experiences pain-free living. That might be a stretch. So maybe we start incrementally. I'm a person who experiences pain-free living the first hour of the morning. I'm a person who experiences pain-free living as I begin to move my body. Do you see what you see? So we can start incrementally until we are embodying, I'm a person who has pain-free living. And whatever is required must come about, externally, internally, drawing, attracting something, changing something, whatever it is. We're not outlining any of that. So the whole, I just love this. It's the idea that we are not trying to create the reflection. You're not trying to create the job. You are embodying, I'm a person who has the job that fulfills me. I'm a person who has the job that is financially secure and that where I can give my gift. Do you see what I'm saying? You're becoming that person on the inside as opposed to trying to create it on the outside. That's the law's job. The law's job is to take that cause and create the effect. Manifesting that space somewhere in a job that suits this person that I have become, which is a person who has this particular kind of job. May not be even have a title, but it may be a job that is financially supportive, that allows me to give my gift, working with excellent people. Well, that could describe a million different things, right? And now the law it's its job to bring that about. There cannot be an embodiment of the image without the appreciation of what the image means. A man or person who is always distraught cannot give a good treatment for peace. We have to learn to embody peace. Start working with, well, what does peace mean? You know, I used to grow up with that whole thing, the peace that passes understanding. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I have no idea what that means. The peace that passes understanding. And I will tell you, it was my stepfather who taught me what those words meant. When I came to Dallas and I had an infant son, I had run away when I was 15, and so at 32 I came down here because my mother and stepfather had moved down here and said I need help with my infant son. And so I moved back in, which was an extraordinary healing for me around all the reasons why I ran away. And I will never forget the day sitting at the dining room table where my stepfather was being my stepfather, and I noticed that I had absolutely no reaction. And I thought, how can I be so peaceful? I don't understand. this guy is a blankety, blankety, blankety blank, and he's still behaving like a blankety, blankety, blankety blank, and he's still being, all those things. And I thought, oh my God, this must be what that means. The peace that passes, I don't understand how I can be peaceful with a person behaving the way that they're behaving. But I am. It doesn't affect me because I don't care what his opinion is of me. I know who I am. And that was like this extraordinary moment, the peace that passes understanding. And now I've experienced that in many, 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 many places and ways in my life. Big delays at the airport, thinking that, there's a big crisis financially, all kinds of things. And I'm stunned at how peaceful I am about it. Because it's the peace that passes understanding. Do you see? And the more that we embody these qualities, the more that we do our meditation and our spiritual work, and we do our work around what is the truth, the spiritual truth about life, about spirit, about ourselves, the more we can embody what the image means. And we're not trying to create something out here so that we feel better, so that we feel fulfilled, so that we feel peaceful. We're being it, which automatically begins to outpicture it in our experience and in the actual demonstrations. So, so there must not only be an image in our mind who is giving the treatment, but there must be an appreciation of what the image means before the image can reflect itself. So this, go back to that statement where Ernest Holmes says we can demonstrate despite our fear, despite our uncertainty, despite our doubt. And we might not have an appreciation of what the image means. We might not have yet achieved that. So for me, this is specifically why I use nature examples to show myself what it looks like, what it means. So if I want to be unruffled in a situation that I feel quite certain is going to activate me in a way that I might become ruffled, right? And maybe I have a history of being ruffled in that situation. I can't maybe appreciate the image of what it would feel like or look like to be unruffled. So in my first step of treatment, I am embodying the feeling, the sense, the experience of sitting by a placid mountain pool, which I've done for years. It's quiet. Nothing's happening. The pond or the lake is crystal clear and absolutely still. And the whole valley is at peace. Oh, do you see? I'm already embodying. I'm appreciating what that image actually means. Not just the words, oh, I'm going to be peaceful. Do you see? And I'm not just saying, oh, I'm peaceful like a mountain lake, isn't that wonderful? La, 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 la. No, the words are allowing me to remember, to sense, to embody. It's the best word. I don't like the word feel. Feelings get into emotions and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not crazy about it. But embodiment, to embody it as a sense, felt, lived experience allows us then to appreciate what the image means. So we can talk about flow all we want, the currency of flow, and we're abundant and all of that. And then, we get stuck on, but there's my paycheck, there's my paycheck, there's my paycheck, right? And so then we start with images of water that's flowing, the spring that is coming out of, and then it's added, the tributaries, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And all of a sudden, and then the water cycle, and then it evaporates and becomes clouds, and then it falls. And who knows where it's going to fall, but that water is absolutely flowing all the time. Oh, circulation. Oh, I see. And there's so many different ways. Do you see? We've popped ourselves out of our own limitation into an appreciation of the image that we're creating in our mind's eye in our spiritual treatment, in our spiritual work. And this is why we use words, not okay, I'm getting ahead of myself because he's going to talk about that. The word which carries power is the one which has conviction behind it. Notice it's not feeling or belief. It's conviction behind it. Let us not blithely repeat words and say the treatment has gone forth and the healing work accomplished unless we have the evidence that our word has accomplished that whereunto it was sent. Let us not deceive ourselves about our treatments. And so it's not about the words. Over and over and over again, people are like, oh, well, I don't say the right words, or it's too many words, or I don't like to have somebody to tell me what words I should use. It's not about the words. It's the words that we use to remember truth, and then not only just to remember it, but to feel that become a sensed, lived experience within ourselves, to embody this as a truth, which is why spiritual mind treatment then becomes a lifetime practice. Shifts consciousness in a way that nothing else does, regardless of manifestation. So, this matter of self-deception about the truth of a demonstration is the most prolific field for delusion in our system of thought. The two big things that Ernest Holmes over and over and over reminds us: too much theory and too little practice, and the delusion of believing we've demonstrated when we haven't been willing to check whether or not we've demonstrated. When we're afraid to look at our bank account because we're not sure whether or not we've demonstrated. We don't want to go back to the doctor because we're afraid of what they're going to say. Clearly, we haven't embodied the new outcome. Do you see? There is nothing in all our teaching which calls for lying to ourselves or to others. The more spontaneous we can be, the more we can discharge the obligation of giving a treatment without taking responsibility for the healing. We put that, so let's just look at this last paragraph. There's nothing in the world more specific than a scientific treatment, but there's nothing that should be so released from outline as a scientific treatment. Always the what, never the how, right? Always the what. When we get into the how is when we start limiting in ourselves and we can't embody how it's going to happen. We can't figure it out ourselves. We've now broken apart our embodiment because we think, well, I don't know how this is going to happen. Boom. All of a sudden our embodiment has disappeared, right? We don't have to know. That's where our trust in the infinite law comes in. Okay, so we're going to talk about this. How do you know that you've demonstrated? What keeps you from embodying? And how do we get over fooling ourselves about demonstrations? Well, and the last thing I would say is, why are we afraid to be specific enough in our treatments about actually demonstrating our good? Okay, so we're going to say good morning to Ryan. We have a hand out here, and we'll see what else is going on out there.
Yes. In here, inside of myself and out of myself, demonstrating. Well, good morning to you, Dr. Petra. So glad that you're here with us. And hello to everybody here in the room. Thank you for waving at me, making me feel seen and heard too. And hello to all of those who are joining us via Zoom and all over the world on Facebook Live. So glad that you're in community with us as well. And as Dr. Petra was kicking us off with that question of demonstration, those in the room that have a question or comment, just feel free to raise your hand. And sharing is caring, and we love our volunteers, so pass the microphone around as you see fit. And those who are joining us on Zoom, you can hit the raise your hand icon located down below underneath the More and Reactions tab, or you can always put your question in the comment. And the same goes true for those who are on Facebook. You can put your questions and comments inside of the chat, and I can bring those into the room. I always like to say we keep those anonymous so we can continue to have a safe container for spiritual growth. So Armando, you want to kick us off here?
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Petra.
Good morning, Armando.
So today, 9 years ago today at CSLDallas, Carbon Project was birthed. It's my nonprofit. When I started, I didn't know anyone, didn't know anything about nonprofits. And I began to, with all of the tools that I've learned here and taking classes, has allowed me to embody who I really wanted to become. And I didn't know that I had it within me. But being here and applying these techniques and all of these things has gotten me here, all the different demonstrations throughout these last 9 years. And it's just, and you're right, it's the what, not the how.
Right.
You know, I said I was going to go statewide. That's all I said. I don't know how.
Right.
Guess what? Nonprofits are coming up from San Antonio, from all over, wanting us there. It's not a heavy lift for me.
Right. Right.
And that's the demonstrations to being the best human being that I can be. And today is also my son's birthday, and it's been 20 years since he chose not to be in my life. And yet, I can stay grounded in who I am, and that I can be the best human being. And then whenever that day comes that my son decides to come in to my life, I will be ready because I've done the work, and I know who I am today. And I'm so grateful for my CSLDallas community, for everyone here who continues to encourage me and allowing me to grow and to watch me grow and to be part of my journey. I will forever be grateful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Armando. And it's been a joy to watch those 9 years and to celebrate every step of the way. And your beautiful sharing about your son is such a demonstration of what peace that passes understanding looks like. Peace without unforgiveness, without a grudge, without withhold, without, well, you did it to me, so I'm going to do it to you, in all the ways that we could be, right? Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. So I saw Shauna and then Ross, then we'll go back to Glenna. And then you let us know, Ryan, if there's something going on out there, okay?
Will do.
Okay, so, yeah.
So thank you, Armando. I am also grateful, and I am a super manifester, and I experience a lot of TSRWs. And this past month, I also got to discover how I've been disillusioning myself in one area of my life. And I'm not going to go into a lot of details,
Right.
but because of my parents' experience, really horrible experiences with skin cancer at the end of their life, I started being very aggressive about prevention and working with dermatologists and lasers and photodynamic therapy in my 40s. And what I discovered this past month is I was so focused on prevention because I believed in skin cancer that I manifested skin cancer. And it took me manifesting that to realize what I had been doing. I had been living a life of fear.
Yes.
And a focus on prevention. And now I'm done.
Yes.
But it amazed me to realize that I lived with that, despite all of what I've learned and what Armando said. There was this place that I unknowingly was living in fear all these years. And it took the experience of going through that to realize how much trauma I had stored in my body.
Yes.
And how much helplessness I've stored because of traveling that journey with my parents. And it's amazing how you can disillusion you can have this, so many other areas where you see TSRWs all the time, and then you've got this place that you just haven't noticed. And something has to happen to wake you up.
Yes, and thank you for sharing that, Shauna. Because that's true for all of us. And we don't, that's what an unconscious bias is, and an unconscious belief system, patterns that we don't even realize. And yes, we can be so focused on having something not happen, right?
Which is that image in the mirror.
Yes, that's...
I wasn't embodying it.
You are your own wholeness. That experience is not my experience. It has that, I don't have to have that, any of that, right? That's a whole nother thing. I'm okay which is very different than, yes, combing the hair in the mirror. Thank you for sharing that. And that will be really helpful for people because we all have places like that. Unnoticed places. And then when we do notice them, let's not beat ourselves up because we all have that. But the moment that we notice it, we can bring our spiritual work to it and recognize what's happening and shift into that embodiment.
It's amazing to me how disillusioned. Okay, it's amazing to me still. I mean, I love myself. I'm accepting it, but
Yes.
I put so much time and energy and moved my feet for prevention,
Yeah.
and the whole time missed the whole point.
Yes. Thank you. Which is why it's a little bit of a, there's always this double-edged sword. We treat and move our feet. But if we move our feet without treating, it's often against something, right? Even prevention is against something.
I realized it was the how, not the what.
Yes, yes. And we can struggle with that is how am I going to show up with the issues our nation is facing? How am I going to move my feet in the world around climate change? How am I going to work with the political or economic or discrimination and all of those things? And if we're so against it, we're not embodying the truth. It doesn't mean we don't operate in the world, but we operate in the world from that place that is beyond the understanding. Our brain says, I should be doing these things. No, we do the what, and then we're guided and led, right? It's the directing the what, allowing the how. And so often we do the reverse. We direct the how. Yes, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
This is Ross. Well, it's been now 3.5 months since I broke 3 ribs. And through spiritual mind treatment, through meditation, and I'm actually experimenting with affirmations, I am far better off than I was 3.5 months ago. I mean, far better off.
I love that. That is awesome, and congratulations. Right? It's so much when we add the spiritual component. The actual doingness becomes so much more effortless, and we get so much further because we've added that causal component. Actually, we use that as our starting place. Thank you for, I love that.
Also, like it's bit by bit,
Yes.
little by little.
Yes, yes.
I guess it was a week or two. I spent so much time with you, I don't know where it came
Right.
from. But it had the piece of, Ernest Holmes said, do a little bit every day in all these different areas. That adds up fast.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And let me just say, I'm going to say something terribly heretical for all those people who, we love the teachings of Jesus. We follow the teachings of Jesus in so many ways. And I think that in one way, it's a terrible, terrible, terrible example. Because we think if we don't have an instantaneous healing, we're not doing it right. And those are all the stories that we have of the teachings of Jesus and of his ministry and his healing and his miracles. They're all instantaneous. They can be, but sometimes we have to incrementally grow our embodiment. I mean, he's the greatest example of someone who simply embodied it in its totality. And, who knows what he did in those lost 18 years when whatever, allowed him to be outside of sort of what feels like normal, ordinary life that most of us are living, to embody that incredible consciousness to be able to have instantaneous healings. This doesn't mean that you can't or shouldn't hope or work towards instantaneous healings, but when we're talking about a life, it is so often an incremental embodiment, which is why we call it the science of mind. Because that incremental piece is proving to ourselves, over and over, we're proving to ourselves, this works, I can trust it, this works, I can trust it. And we grow our ability to demonstrate. So thank you. Glenna in the back there.
Hi there.
Hi.
So I realized something this week that was very powerful, and that even when I have an affirmation and a goal, and I'm very clear I will achieve it, right? So I was on the phone this week with a family member, and I said, and they had read my book, and I said, my goal is to sell 200,000 copies and donate $2 million to Alzheimer's dementia research. And I'm very clear that's going to happen. And she started to laugh at me. And my response was so interesting. I didn't say anything because it's not worth it, right? But I got off the phone, and what I realized was I wasn't sad for me. I didn't feel like it had dissuaded me at all. I was really sad that somebody else didn't believe it was possible. And I thought, okay, here's something you're not going to talk about with somebody that's in your, you know what I'm saying? Because they can't put their arms around it. And I thought, we get these tests all the time, right? And we do. We get a naysayer or something that comes up as a hiccup. And I finally said to myself, this is a test of how serious you are that it's possible. Nothing more than that, right? Is that, do you really believe this can happen in your lifetime? Maybe not in the next week, but in your lifetime.
Right.
And the answer to that is absolutely it's possible. I don't know how, but it'll move in that direction. And I can't let those roadblocks get in my way. And then the question becomes, where else does that come up?
Yes.
Right? Where you go, I really want this, but maybe not. And so there's been a lot of internal conversation about what is it that you want, what is it that you stand for, and what do you really believe is possible,
Yes.
and what have you bought into that it's not. And so I was very thankful that happened this week, because it
Beautiful.
caused me to do some soul searching.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Oh my gosh. And it's so important, right? So on the one hand, Ernest Holmes says, if you have something that you're really working on, keep it a secret. Don't say it to people who are going to say, well, whatever. Yeah, right. All of that. There's no need to put yourself in the line of fire, that kind of, especially if you just have a little tiny shoot that's just starting to grow, right? Protect it, keep it fertilized, keep it, and only say it to those people, those trusted people that are going to support and empower and encourage you. Right? That's why we're in community together, so we can do that for each other. Because there's a lot of people who are going to laugh or think you're crazy or tell you to your face you're crazy.
But then here we stand with Glenna.
Absolutely, that's right. That's right. And we're like, yes, go for it. And we don't have to know how it's going to work for you either. What we're going to do is just like with Armando, we're going to celebrate every step of the way. When you sell your first 10,000, when you sell your first 100,000, when you make that first $1 million check, just one, and we get to celebrate it along the way. Every one of those is a step in the direction.
Well, and what's interesting is that I think what I have done previously is I would go, rah, rah, and then I would say, okay, maybe not 200,000, maybe just let's really ratchet it back, right? Let's say I'm going to sell 1,000. And I think I tend to water down my dream.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? When somebody else says it's not possible, I go, okay, well, maybe they're right and maybe I'm wrong, and I'll just water it down and I'll think smaller.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, why?
Why?
You know what I mean?
That's
If you
exactly right.
if you have a huge dream, but you only do half of your huge dream, it's still huge.
And yes, and what do they know anyway?
Right. No, exactly.
Right?
So
I love that you said that. I just so love that. And so this is when we bring out our spiritual no. No, this is not my truth. So I just actually had this happened not too long ago in an entirely different situation, and I was sharing with someone, and somebody actually that I trust, and the message was, well, that's just not going to happen.
What?
No, and I also didn't say it out loud. But I spent 2 days. That's not my spiritual truth. That's not my spiritual truth. Let it go. That's not my spiritual truth. That's not my spiritual truth. I think of it as, letting it roll off, letting it roll off, letting it roll. Don't, not taking it in and then not watering it down, or not going, well, maybe that person knows something I don't know, or maybe they're right, or, maybe that's the sign from spirit. That's, no, that is not my truth, and I'm not going to let it impact me. Right? And so sometimes, and sometimes that's the work. Let it roll off and not diminish. And how empowering it is to continue to be focused on the long-term what. And then, then we move forward with a surprising amount of peace and confidence that other people, they just don't get. They don't get. How can you be that confident about it? Well, I don't know. It's all going to work out. It's all going to work out, right? And again, it's all going to work out and it's all good. It doesn't work if they're words. That's why people say, oh, well, that's just a platitude. Those New Thought people, they always say that, but whatever. Because many New Thought people are doing this, they're deluding themselves. And they live in where we can live in the delusional world, and we say it's all good, and what we are doing is accepting the smaller viewpoint. Well, it's all good. It's all yeah. Or we're resigning ourselves. No, it's all good. It's all going to work out is in support of that outrageous and audacious goal that we've set. It's in support of the demonstration that we expect. Remember, we talked about cheerful expectancy. And that the more that we embody the what, I'm a person who has that. I actually remember the first time I said to myself, people are tithing. They're tithing a lot of money. I said to myself, I cannot wait till I write a tithe check with a comma in it. I'm going to write a tithe check with a comma in it. I didn't know when or how. I was so excited. And then it was, of course, I'm going to write a tithe check with 2 numbers before the comma, right? Because I am the kind of person who can write a tithe check with a comma in it, damn it. Right? And I didn't know that was going to happen. I was 21, trying to figure out I was in ministerial school, trying to figure out what in the world, how this was all going to work out. I'm going to write a tithe check with a comma, and the first time I did that, I thought I had won the lottery. Oh my God, because do you know that means that I have so much abundance that I'm living on the 90%, and it's enough. And it's enough for me to write a tithe check with a comma in it. Oh my God. It was like this amazing experience. Up until that point, I couldn't actually imagine really doing more than just throwing tip money in the till. $20. Oh, the minister was really on, give him a little more. Oh, those kinds of moments. Right? And then the good news is when we have that kind of moment, whatever it's about, we score the job, we go on the trip we never thought we could, or whatever it is, we heal ourselves, though that conviction, because do you see, we're working on the inside, that conviction is then transferable to the next thing. If I can do it there, I can do it here. If I can be at peace about that, I can be at peace about this. If I can know that that's going to work out and it worked out, I can know that this is going to work out because I know how it works. Do you see that conviction? Then that's why sometimes I don't want to feel the outcome. I don't necessarily want to believe in something. I want to experience the conviction, embody the fact that I've proved to myself that this is how it works. Now that proving is now available no matter what the topic is. Do you see? No matter what it is, and then that's really, really, truthfully, honestly, why we can say the universe knows no big and small. Because in that moment, neither do we. Because we've embodied the conviction, this works. Yeah. I love this stuff. I love this stuff so much. Okay, so we're gonna start next week the summary of part 2. We're gonna summarize spiritual mind healing. We'll go back over some of the information and dive into it, and and then of course you have to work it. You have to work it, right? You have lovely examples in here every time you share. Every time somebody shares and says, this is what I've done. And that's why another reason we're in community and why we talk about these things. Give your testimonial, testify, right? That it works. And that lifts all of us. Okay, I'm really going to stop talking now, right?
You got another couple minutes?
I've already seen the little wrap up. I've already seen it twice out of the corner of my eye. I ignored it.
It just progressively gets bigger and bigger. And for the folks online, I'm using my finger to do the swirl sign.
It's small and very discreet, and then it gets a little bigger.
Yeah. So good fun things are happening all here at CSL Dallas starting today. We have Celebration Sunday. Mm-hmm. It's going to be jam-packed with music. And we're also going to be revealing our goals for
the results of where we are right now with our pledge program. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. And this upcoming weekend is going to be a fun-filled weekend, starting off with this Friday with our very own Soul Science. Yeah. It's hosted by myself and the AV team. It's a great combination of yoga, sound bowl, guided meditation, and then we also do some group exercise together. So make sure to grab a friend and head down here on this Friday. And then whoop whoop for the women's retreat, there's a demonstration. They are sold out. You cannot get any more tickets.
I know, right? So next year.
Yeah, so next year. But no fret, we still have another event happening on Sunday, which is going to be hosted by Woodleen Dunn. And if you've ever seen the teaching symbol for the Science of Mind, then you'll want to make sure to come to this class, because that's what it's all about, is taking a deeper dive into what is the meaning behind the teaching symbol and how you can apply it to your life. Yeah. And that starts at 12:30. And also, I'd love to mention that the Joy Village will be having a luncheon, so your donations to that go to help the programs of our youth. So make sure you're here for that.
Usually $10, right?
Yeah.
$10, stay, have lunch. Whether you're going to the workshop or not, stay and have lunch, and help the Joy Village have money for some of their events and programs.
Or more if you want.
Or more if you want.
Or more
oh, yes,
if you
always.
want. Buy a plate and take it home. And our very own Glenna is going to be doing a book signing here on November 16th.
Yes, about this beautiful book she's talking about. So you definitely want to be here for that.
Get a copy, get it signed, and so we can help her reach that 200,000 and more goal.
Yes.
Also, we're going to have Thanksgiving. It's past Halloween. And Reverend Marquita is here with us in the back. She's going to be leading that, and it's going to be a beautiful service full of gratitude and, as always, my favorite part, a community potluck.
Yes.
So make sure to get signed up here. If you want to bring a side dish, we'd love for you to sign up for that. And Twyla is leading that. So if you're here in person, love to reach out to her.
Side dish or dessert.
Or dessert, yes.
Bring your family and friends or come alone. Don't spend Thanksgiving alone.
Yes, that's a good motto for it. We should put that up on the website. There we go. All right, any last words before we close out today?
No, just you're going to start seeing the holiday information. Put it on your calendar. Of course, we have a fabulous Christmas Eve program prepared. Reverend Marquita, Reverend Karen, and I, and Reverend Faye will all be participating. Fabulous German music. Yes, because it's my final Christmas Eve here as the senior minister, and so we're pulling out all the stops. So you're going to want to be there. So just look at as you're going to get a postcard with the information. Keep track of it. Put the things on your calendar. We really want to celebrate this really special season with you. It's going to be really wonderful. So, yes, join us in 30 minutes in the celebration, or we'll see you next week. Bye for now.